Plaintiff Billy Joe Olinger is suing his former friend Alicia Pfeiffer for medical bills and emotional distress. Billy Joe says he's terrified of the defendant because she ran him over 3 times with her car after the defendant's ex-boyfriend attempted to stab him. But Alicia says this was nothing but an accident because when her ex was fighting with the plaintiff, she panicked and put the car in reverse. She's countersuing for harassment.
All right, Billy Joe Olinger is suing his former friend for medical bills and emotional distress, and Alicia Pfeiffer is countersuing her former friend for harassment. All right, Billy, tell us why you're here today.
Your Honor, I'm here today for the defendant, Alicia Pfeiffer. She has been convicted for running me over with a car 3 times. She did do prison on this.
Running you over with a car 3 times?
Yes, ma'am.
Why are you standing? Did she really? Did you run him over?
No, Your Honor. I hit him and he went underneath my car. But I was scared and I didn't mean to do it. I had my son in the car, and when I went to take off, I put the car in drive instead of reverse.
You're convicted?
Yes, ma'am.
Of what?
Second-degree assault. I took a plea agreement.
Heard enough. Talk to me.
Yes, ma'am. I'm very scared of the defendant, to be honest, Your Honor. I have these scars on me for life. She does have a very violent history.
How did you meet this woman?
Through her boyfriend.
When you say you have scars, where do you have scars?
All over my shoulder, my left hip, my left leg.
Were you hospitalized?
Yes, ma'am, for 5 days. I had a fracture in my skull, bleeding in my brain, and a concussion. They wanted to take me from Grand Island, Nebraska, and fly me to Kearney, Nebraska for brain surgery.
How long ago was this?
About a year ago. It took occurrence on 8/6 of 07, Your Honor.
How did it happen?
This whole thing started out, I was at a friend's house, which is my witness right here, Kim Tobin. I was over at her house sitting there because I'm friends with her sons. And I went outside to smoke a cigarette, and I was crossing the street, and her boyfriend pulled up, and somehow they accused me of stealing a gold necklace. Her boyfriend got out of the car, tried to stab me 6 times. I grabbed his arm, and he then looked back at the defendant and said, "Run him over." She then proceeded to run me over.
Were you there at the time, Kim?
I was in my house at the time. I took care of him after the accident.
Come on up. State your full name for the record.
Kim Tobin.
Talk to me. What is your relationship with the plaintiff?
I am friends with his parents.
Okay. Describe the scene when you come outside.
I talked to my neighbors and people who were in my front yard. They came in to get me because I knew I had worked as a med aide and as a nurse's aide.
Did you treat him?
I basically tried to keep him on the ground. I could hear the paramedics coming.
Was her boyfriend still at the scene?
No.
The car was gone?
Yes.
Do you know the defendant?
Yes, I do.
How do you know her?
Her ex-boyfriend was my guy I went to school with, son. We were very close friends in school.
Is this the ex-boyfriend who tried to stab you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you live in the same community?
Yes, we do.
What is her reputation in the community?
She is known for being violent towards other people.
Sit down, thank you. Tell me about the necklace.
I've never seen the necklace, and in the paper, when it first got issued out in the paper, it was a necklace. When the second time it got issued out on her preliminary hearing, it came out to be me and Justin were arguing over money, and then it came out to be a silver ring.
When was the last time you saw the defendant's boyfriend before you ended up being assaulted?
The night before.
The night before, and what were the circumstances of that meeting?
I'm an apprentice tattooist, Your Honor, and I was putting his son's name on his forearm.
So when you tattoo someone, do you tell them to take off their jewelry?
I make them take off their jewelry and their shirt, no matter where it's at. That way I don't get ink on anything because the ink stains anything it touches. Is
there a reason that he would believe that you took his necklace, assuming he even had one on?
I don't know what the reasoning he could have for this. I really am out in the blank in this, Your Honor.
So the next thing that happens, the next day, what happens?
I'm out in the street, walking across the street, and the defendant, her boyfriend, and tried to stab me.
With what?
A knife.
What kind of knife?
It looked like a butterfly knife, Your Honor, where the 2 ends open up from the bottom side.
Okay.
And the blade comes out the middle. Mm-hmm. He swung it 6 times. I then grabbed his arm right by the wrist, right with my right hand.
Are you bigger than he is?
And yes, I am. He's kind of short, Your Honor. But I grabbed his arm, and I wouldn't let go of it. That's when he looked back at the defendant and told her to run me over, and she did.
Okay. Talk to me.
Your Honor, I'd like to start at the beginning. He's a drug addict, comes from a very long line of family that are drug addicts. How I know him and also the witness is because we did drugs together. So I know this for a fact. I've been clean and sober for a year now. They smoked, it's called ICE, smokable crystal meth, if you're familiar with that. He has a really long line of criminal history. Actually,
Are you convicted?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Of what?
I am convicted of, I believe it was terroristic threats and possession.
Terroristic threats to whom?
On my principal. No, I'm
What'd you
not proud
say?
of it. No, I am not proud of it. I told him I was going to kill his dog.
And they convicted you of a terrorist threat?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is this?
At the school, in front of a resource officer.
What else? Any other convictions?
No, other than that, that's it.
Did you go to jail?
Yes, I did.
For how long?
I went to jail. I went to prison for 14 to 20 months.
Just for that?
Yes, ma'am.
For telling your principal you're going to kill his dog?
Yeah, and possession of a controlled substance.
What was the controlled substance?
It was known as methamphetamine.
You were doing meth. Bad stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Real bad stuff.
I took my drug rehab course while I was in the penitentiary, and then took my 30-day treatment once I got out of the penitentiary, which was my agreement with the judge. I have been clean ever since, which is a little over 2 years now.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Your Honor, he's a liar. He's a storyteller.
You didn't run him over with your car?
It was an accident. I was parked when I went to put the gear shift in reverse because they were in front of my car fighting because I was scared. It went in drive.
And how old
And
was
the whole thing was between,
Excuse me,
sorry.
how old was the child in the car?
He was a year and a half, and I was scared.
What were you scared of?
The whole altercation, I mean, it had nothing to do with me. I don't even know what happened. The night before, my son's dad was flipping out, and I told him to leave it alone. You know, it's just a necklace. It's not a big deal, you know. If he took it, oh well. You know, there's other jewelry.
All right. Does she have a history of violence?
Yes, ma'am, she does.
What is that history?
I witnessed her push her ex-boyfriend that I was friends with down the stairs of their apartment. I then met another man she was with while I was incarcerated serving time for a fine, who had told me she had knocked out his windshield in his truck with a crowbar.
Did you?
Your Honor, that's a lie. None of these incidents ever happened.
You didn't put a crowbar through a windshield? You didn't knock down your old boyfriend? And when you ran over him, it was an accident?
Yes, ma'am. The only assault charge that I have on my record besides the second-degree assault was a third-degree assault for pulling somebody's hair. That's my only violence on my record.
Who was the somebody?
My boyfriend's cousin.
Okay, did she have injury?
No, ma'am.
Okay, but you were convicted of assault.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
Do you have a juvenile record?
Yes, ma'am.
I figured. I don't, okay. Let me see your medical injuries. Where is this guy now, the ex-boyfriend of yours?
He's in prison.
What a shock. Okay. Now, you ended up going to court, Alicia,
Yes, Your Honor.
on this case. Was there a trial?
No, there wasn't. I took a plea agreement.
You took a plea
Yes,
to
I did.
assault in the second degree?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that means that the higher charge that you pled down from was what?
Use of a deadly weapon to commit a felony.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to tell me?
I have no problem with him at all, you know, and I apologized in the courtroom when I pleaded, and, you know, I feel really bad. And, you know, I don't want no more problems. I just want this to be done and over with so I can move on my life. I'm doing positive things with my life. I mean, I've got a good job. I'm taking care of my son. And I did my time, and I'm trying to pay restitution for his bills. You know, I'm really honestly sorry.
Okay. All right. Now this assault occurred on August 7th
August 6th of 07.
of 07. So that's just over a year ago. Do you realize that there is a statute of limitations in the state of Nebraska that precludes you bringing a lawsuit for an intentional tort, which is what this is? It's an intentional crime, or after 1 year. So you only had 1 year from August 6th of 07 to bring this civil action. Are you aware of that?
No, Your Honor, I am not.
There's something called the statute of limitations. It essentially means that the laws are different in every state that determine within what amount of time you must sue in order for you to recover. So if you were to bring this case in Nebraska Supreme Court, your case would automatically be dismissed as being time barred by the statute of limitations. You brought it too long after the incident on August 6th of 07. Now, having said that, this court has jurisdiction in equity. And that means that irrespective of the legislation and the statutes, that there is, in essence, in our justice system, a theory that fairness should, be the primary goal of all courts.
Defendant Alicia Pfeiffer is being sued by the plaintiff for running him down with her car.
The plaintiff claims that it was the defendant who ran over him, and you don't need to believe him. The truth is that the defendant was convicted of a second-degree assault, which was a plea bargain from a higher degree of crime. I don't believe for 1 second, nor did the underlying court, nor did she say this when she was in court, that it was an accident. She went there with her dirtbag boyfriend to get a necklace and then ran over this man. No matter how bad he is or how bad you claim he is, you ran over him, whether it's once or 3 times, and the man will have scars for the rest of his life. You, madam, are a danger to the community. You had a child in that car that was 1.5 years old, a boyfriend with a knife going out to cut him up, and then you put that car in reverse. And don't tell me for 1 second that you don't know the difference between forward and reverse. You know what? They say justice is blind, but you're not going to pull the wool over my eyes. The countersuit brought by Alicia against the plaintiff for harassment is dismissed. My verdict for you is $5,000 in a court of equity.